Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. Welcome to Extra Crispy. So, a quick announcement. I did actually go off and buy a new webcam. I don't know if you guys can tell the difference in quality. If you can, let me know in the comment section below. I'm filming in 1080p, 60 frames per second, because, you know, my bitch-ass computer can't handle 4K and stuff. Yeah, I do. It is a 4K webcam, so if I ever do upgrade, drop a like on the video, man, so I get more views and get money to buy a better computer. That'd be awesome. Thank you guys all so much for that. But yeah, so just a quick announcement about that. Actually, we are watching this. Okay, this is 1080 60p, so hopefully you can actually see it on there, right, man? But yes, for today's video, we are going to be reacting to why were 26 players drafted before Pascal Siakam, however you say it, and where are they now? So this video about my dude, Dom2K, guys, link to his channel description below. One of the best NBA YouTubers out there. So yeah, I mean, basically, man, NBA draft's coming up, and it's like, people are all talking about the top picks in the draft. Pascal Siakams of the world, they exist, right? They definitely exist. So let's see who these players were before Siakam, because, man, this dude should be probably most improved player this season. Also an NBA champion, right? Okay, here we go. Oh, there we go. Little lot for my taking. Let's get it, man.
A high-energy forward with great length, a 7'3" wingspan to be exact, and a solid all-around skill set.
How does that fall to 26? 27th.
Utilizing his huge wingspan to guard both the perimeter and the post effectively. Those were a few of the excerpts used to describe Pascal Siakam coming out of New Mexico State.
Man still fell for whatever reason.
Was released, he might have proved to be an integral part to the Toronto Raptors' first championship in franchise history.
He did. He did indeed.
Professional season. And for anybody who's watched the 2019 NBA playoffs, his talent has been very apparent. So as he's sitting at the young age of 24 years old, we naturally ask, how was he a late first-round pick? What caused so many teams to make the common mistake of overlooking an integral championship piece?
He could have went to the Pistons!
And where are some of the players who were drafted before him in their careers right now?
Oh
if
my
you happen
God!
to be a Pascal Siakam fan, you should savor every moment you get to enjoy his talents, because
y'all had him in the
camp. The NBA was a very unlikely outcome considering where his life was going. All the way in Cameroon where he grew up, the dream of most children was to become a professional soccer player. And Siakam was no different, despite all of his brothers earning scholarships to Division I colleges. And it would seem as if watching all of your brothers take up collegiate basketball would probably pique your interest, except it had an adverse effect on Pascal Siakam.
He's like, I don't want to do this, do my own thing.
He found himself wanting to be his own man.
Nothing wrong with that.
That included looking towards professional soccer, going to business school, or even working in the government of Cameroon.
NBA
so
champ
despite
now,
his natural talent in basketball, it was going to take a major force to pull him in that direction. That major force, as it would turn out, would be him being discovered in the Luke Mbah basketball camp.
The man wearing number 69. Can we just talk about that?
He caught people's attention at that camp, and the very next year, he was invited to the Basketball Without Borders camp in South Africa. That's where he came to look up to both Serge Ibaka and Luol Deng, and from that moment on, his mind had been officially captured by dreams of NBA basketball. The camp led him to a prep school in Texas, and later down the road he took up an offer to play college basketball at New Mexico State. That's also where he would go on to turn tragedy into triumph. Adjusting to life overseas while trying to play pro sports in college was already difficult enough, but his father wound up passing away in a car crash during his time at New Mexico State. And in the words of Pascal Siakam, quote,
I'm going to say real quick before we hear this quote about from this man Pascal. I feel like the most motivated people in the world are the ones that got something to prove. I feel like the most motivated and successful people, not in every single case, but in a lot of cases, is people that come from tragedy and stuff like that, and they just want to they just use that as like a drive to go to like a next level. I feel like that's what Pascal Siakam did here, man. Like, that's just how I feel about him.
Inside of me,
he's one of my favorite players in the
NBA. Burning. I wasn't worried about proving people wrong anymore or working to get back at the guys who had beaten on me. I was playing for my dad now. I was playing for his dream of having a son in the NBA. I wanted to make him proud and give him his gift.
Told you, man.
And that fire burning inside of him wasn't just some cliche. When he got his biggest opportunity during his sophomore year, he averaged 20 points and 11 rebounds, along with 2 blocks a game.
How did he fall so far?
Being the Western Athletic Conference Player of the Year in 2016.
He's a beast!
And the way that scouts had evaluated his game during his college years seemed like he was a perfect fit for where the NBA was going. One line specifically stated that he could legitimately stay in front of guards out on the perimeter, which was unusual for a 6'9" forward. It was also explicitly noted that he shot 44% from the perimeter, which in their case they were just referring to shots that weren't inside the paint, but that was very important because he was a power forward, and it meant that his game wasn't going to take place solely inside the paint. That was also very important considering at the time we were looking at guys coming up such as Kristaps Porzingis, Joel Embiid, big men that were using their shots to open up the rest of their game.
Embiid's bitch ass at 3 now though, bro.
Many teams did not consider him a realistic option, and a huge reason why is listed in the very first sentence of his weaknesses on the scouting report.
Let's see it.
Quote, playing in a mid-major, it would be tougher to convince teams that his numbers were legitimate and not enhanced by the level of competition.
That's such bullshit. That is just, man, I hate that. That happens so much where it's like where you play at. Oh my god, like there's so many just like big I hate stuff like that. I hate that stuff like that, man. You know what I'm saying, right? You probably don't know what maybe you do know what I'm saying, bro. I think my emotion knows what it's saying. It'll piss me off playing in a mid-range major so that way his numbers aren't legitimate. I mean, sure, maybe to some extent that can be the case, but damn, dude, you can kind of see the hustle and grind in people.
At the time that he was being scouted, he had turned 22 years old, so there was questions about his upside. A lot of teams wanted a very young prospect that they could know was going to be there for years and years, not one that was already 22 and had questions about where he actually was at an NBA level.
But he was ready to go.
So then, why the Toronto Raptors? Why didn't they let those same concerns cloud their judgment? Well, the first part is that they had both the 9th and the 27th pick in that year's draft.
Well, there you go. It helps a lot,
too. They had some margin for error. They could pick who they really wanted at the higher spot and then gamble a little bit towards the end of that first round. But this second part shows just how much little details make a huge difference. Siakam says that he worked out for so many teams that it really just seemed to blend together. Yet, his workout with the Toronto Raptors stuck out because of how it went down. He says that he came into that workout pumped because he heard there were other top prospects there, including Jakob Poeltl. And his plan was simple. He was going to treat them as if they were his old teammates that used to trash talk him. Except, as he walked onto the court, a coach notified him that those top prospects were doing solo workouts and that Pascal Siakam was going to be working out with another group.
What's up with
that? He went on to say that the frustration from that event caused him to dominate the other workout he participated in. Quote, I've never had energy like that before. It was through the roof. That was my best workout of the summer.
Got that chip on your shoulder,
the rest
man.
Is honestly history. After
when
that
you got
workout,
that chip, you be feasting,
he remembers
bro.
not being 100% sure where he was going and that nobody could really give him a clear answer. And at that point, he was risking wasting his college eligibility. But luckily enough for every party involved, the Raptors were impressed and they'd found their gem. He'd go on to be selected 27th overall in the 2016 NBA draft, behind numerous players you've probably never heard of before. The top of the 2016 NBA draft really made sense. The Philadelphia 76ers went with what was the sure thing at the time, which was Ben Simmons. And although his shot has heavily hindered his potential as a point guard,
this year we took bitch ass Stanley Johnson, isn't it?
A lot of clear potential. And the Sixers were one bounce away from the NBA Finals this year, so there's not a whole lot of regret going around there. Brandon Ingram was the other surefire top 2 pick that year, and it's a very sad situation for both him and the Lakers because he was having a breakout year right before the Clots ended his season. But it is worth noting that him and Siakam seem to have broken out at the same time.
He's about to ball though on the
Pelicans.
Pelicans.
Last spot that this makes any sense in 2019 would be Jaylen Brown at the 3rd spot for the Boston Celtics. At an extremely young age, he showed in 2018 that in the correct role, he could wind up being a contributing piece to a contending team.
I'll take Spicy
But
P
then we slide down to number 4 where things immediately get hazy. This is where the Phoenix Suns, who 3 years later are still in the NBA lottery, selected Dragon Bender, who's a 7'1" power forward, and Siakam has shown literally all of the development they were hoping Bender would show. Not in playstyle, but in just raw development.
Pascal's even got a cooler name, bro. He's cooler
than
Dragon.
On the line of an all-star.
Oh, bitch ass World of
Bender
Warcraft
averages
Game of
5
Thrones
points
character.
and 4 rebounds, which is not a whole lot higher than he averaged in his rookie season in 2017. And that just goes to show how much of an inexact science the draft is, because clearly they were looking for a power forward that year,
bro.
and the star power forward happened to come at pick 27 and not number 4. And after Bender, it gets very ugly. In between picks number 5 and 26, there are only 2 players that anybody would maybe rather have than Pascal Siakam, and still not really. Those names are Jamal Murray and Caris LeVert. Every other name is an entire tier below Pascal Siakam, and for some of these franchises, that really hurts.
I like Caris, he's not Pascal.
Take the Sacramento Kings, for example, who have appeared in every one of these draft videos picking the wrong guy. They selected power forward Marcus Chris at the 8th spot and didn't even keep him. They traded him to the Phoenix Suns of all people for another big man who was a center this time, who is no longer in the NBA.
Who's that?
He lasted exactly 2 seasons. That means the Phoenix Suns actually selected 2 power forwards in the 2016 NBA draft and struck out on both.
Who is that?
Oddly enough, at number 9, the Toronto Raptors selected Jakob Poeltl and traded him in that deal for Kawhi Leonard, who is now paired with Pascal Siakam and maybe going on to win an NBA championship next week. And as was stated earlier, Jakob Poeltl was a huge reason that Pascal Siakam caught the eye of the Toronto Raptors, so it's just funny how life works sometimes. The Orlando Magic's power forward was Domantas Sabonis, and they traded him in that deal for Serge Ibaka, who also ended up on the Raptors. What makes this worse for the Magic is that Siakam...
Look at that trade, man. Like, nothing against you, Serge. You're fine. You're fine, Serge, but damn, dude. All these players went somewhere else and started balling out, bro. Serge Ibaka, like, he was better on the Thunder, but, man, I mean, he was okay for the Raptors. He's a big part of the puzzle out there. Victor Oladipo, all-star on the Pacers. Ersan Ilyasova, I don't remember doing nothing on the Magic. That's for damn sure. And Sabonis, damn beast on the Pacers. Man, the Magic got none of these players left. Damn.
Says Orlando was one of the last places he worked out. Whether he meant he actually worked out for the Magic or there was just a workout that took place here, that part was unclear, but either way, the Magic clearly missed a gem. Denver went with Juan Hernangomez, and Boston, who was notorious for stashing like 1 million draft picks at one time, they actually looked over Siakam 3 times in this draft.
Damn, dude.
Jaylen Brown at 3, Yabusele at 16, and then Ante Zizic at 23. Given the way that the Celtics and Pascal Siakam were developing at the time, it is...
Can you think about a team right now, bro, of, let's think about this, man. Let's assume the Celtics still had Kyrie, man. Kyrie Irving, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Pascal Siakam, and Al Horford. Oh my God, bro. Perfect. Perfect team. Perfect team.
It is likely that Siakam would have just found himself as trade bait anyways.
Perfect.
But in case you were wondering, yes, I am incredibly salty. The 76ers also missed him 3 times. They took Ben Simmons at the first pick, which even in hindsight still makes sense. But then, at number 24 and at 26, right before Siakam went, they selected Furkan Korkmaz and Timothy Luwawu. I could have very possibly just butchered both of those names because I've never heard them. Luwawu has already played for 3 different teams, and Furkan appeared in 48 games for the 76ers this year.
Look at that 3-ball, though, Barrow.
I actually do know who this guy is. He started to get some minutes throughout the season for the 76ers, and maybe with some more opportunity he'll be decent. Either way, neither looks to have the impact that Pascal Siakam has had, and everything considered, I really think the Sixers would have loved to have had Siakam fighting for them this year. So as a final look at this draft, here are some names that went before Siakam that you really may have never heard.
I saw him! I saw Henry Ellenson. It was the Ellenson draft. Damn,
Malachi
bro.
Richardson, DeAndre Bembry, Henry Ellison, Wade Baldwin, and that about does it. Everybody else you've probably at least heard of. You probably heard about the second coming of Giannis, which was Thon Maker. Milwaukee selected him at number 10, but considering that Giannis now occupies that 4th spot, it's highly unlikely Siakam would have ever gotten the opportunity there. So, as far as Pascal, I hadn't really found anywhere to say this yet, but watching him this year throughout the playoffs and the NBA Finals, it sounds like a really funny comparison, but it gives me Kawhi Leonard vibes in this way. When Kawhi was playing for the San Antonio Spurs, specifically in 2014, he was a part of a team that was greater than one piece. The narrative now is that Kawhi is the dynasty killer and they were Kawhi Spurs, but they were not Kawhi Spurs when he won the Finals MVP. That was a total team effort. He was a very young player who played amazing at an amazing time, and the reason Siakam gives me those vibes is because he's still a very young player who could very well wind up an NBA champion here soon, and he's nowhere near as good as he's going to get. At least that's what all early indications say. Well, that's exactly where Kawhi Leonard was in 2013 and 2014. A very good young player, but for people who watch Kawhi then and now, they can tell you it is not the same player, not even close. His offensive game is worlds away from what it was back then, and that's my hope for Siakam throughout the 2020s. He could collect an NBA championship now, and possibly be talked about as one of the top players throughout the 2020s. Everything that was said about him throughout his draft report still stands. He's got great length, he's an extremely effective defender today considering how versatile he is, he has good rebounding ability, and his offensive game is only going to get better. He's already went from a 14% three-point shooter in his rookie year to 37% this season.
Damn, that's a jump.
So unless he pulls a Draymond Green and acquires the backpack shot, we should see continued improvement. A highly athletic power forward that can play both sides of the floor and can play inside and out, those are the perfect ingredients of a modern-day superstar. It's all there for the taking, and regardless of what happens, as of right now, Siakam would probably go no lower than number 3 in a 2016 redraft.
I agree with that.
So to those of you that have a team picking in the late 20s or the mid 20s in about 11 days,
there's hope.
Keep your hopes up.
There's
you
hope.
never really know where the real top 3 pick in the draft is hiding.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Siakam, like, in my opinion, this might be a weird comparison, but I do think, like Draymond Green was like the first coming of like just like this new era of this power forward, man. Just like the guy that is just like smaller out there, but like does it all, although not all that great offensively. I honestly think if Pascal works on like his playmaking and stuff like that, he could be a triple-double guy, man. He can be like a guy that can get you 20 points. Maybe not quite 10 assists. That's a bit too much, man. But you know what I'm saying? Get you the rebounds, get you the. I think he get up to be like a 6-7 assist guy per game. Of course, with the defense, he is the perfect prototype for what this NBA has become, man. Pascal Siakam is it. I'm so happy for this man. He's awesome, bro. Congrats on the championship.